I'm going to be rating all of my summer knits on design, yarn choice and wearability, and in the end one of them is going to be victorious as my all-time favourite summer knit. Hello, my name is Hannah and welcome to a special episode of What Hannah Knits. On this channel, we love to chat about everything knitting related, and in my standard episodes, we drill down into the details of the making of a knitted garment and then also the details of the finished garment. But something that I don't very often get to speak about is how a knitted garment is actually holding up after a little bit of wear, how I'm finding it fits into my wardrobe, the yarn choice, things like that. So that is exactly what we are going to be doing today. I have all of my summer knits with me. I've been making knitted garments for 2 summers now, so I have a little collection and most of them have had a fair amount of wear, so I feel like I can give them a really fair review. And as always, I love to hear about what you are knitting on. So grab a project, knit along with me whilst you're watching this video and let me know down in the comments so I know what you're working on, because it gives me inspiration for my next project and I'm also just nosy and I like to know. As he is sitting here and being such a good boy, I will briefly introduce my dog as well. This is Bertie. He is a 3-year-old English Cocker Spaniel. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you will know that he does make regular appearances on this channel. He is definitely a Velcro dog, and the person that he has attached himself to like Velcro is me. So wherever I am, he is usually not too far away. Right, let's see if we can get Bertie to lie down so that we can jump into speaking about my first summer knit. Lie down, good boy. I have 8 summer tops to speak about today, and I'm going to rate them firstly on design. So that is mostly to do with how the garment itself has been designed, the fit and the features of the design. I'm also going to be rating them on my yarn choice, so that is down to the fibre choice, the characteristics of the finished fabric and also the colour that I chose. And the third thing that I'm going to rate these tops on is their wearability. So how do they fit into my wardrobe? How wearable are they through the summer months? For each of those aspects, I will rate them out of 10. So in total, there are 30 points up for grabs per top. And at the end, we will be able to rank them in order from my most favourite to my least favourite based on the amount of points that they receive. Okay, let's jump straight in with my first summer knit. By the way, if the lighting and the angle has just slightly changed, I do apologise. I'm having some issues with the microphone today, so I've just had to readjust a little bit, but hopefully everything is okay now. So first up, I have my tolsta tee. This is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. I knit the t-shirt DK weight version, but when you purchase the pattern, you do receive instructions to knit both long sleeved and short sleeved in a DK weight or a fingering weight. So let's talk about the design first of all. It is a raglan construction. It's knit from the top down. I really enjoy a raglan construction. I really like the fit on me. This has quite a wide neckline, which I enjoy as well, and it does have short rows to raise the back neck, so you can see that here. The pattern also includes a secondary document which has lots of ideas for how you might want to modify your tolsta tee, and as you can see, I have knit mine with the eyelet modification. Now, I probably should have been a little bit clearer about this when I've spoken about this garment in the past, but the modification document doesn't give explicit instructions for how to knit each of the modifications. It is just a document of different photos of ways that knitters have modified their t-shirt, and then it is down to the knitter to figure out how to apply that modification to the t-shirt. So what I will do for this one is I will pop some notes on the Ravelry page for this project to outline exactly how I achieved this look with the eyelet rose. So for design, I want to give this a solid 8 out of 10. And the loss of those couple of points is just because it is a very basic design. It is just a simple raglan, and in a really ideal world, I would prefer the back neck to be raised just a little bit more. But those are really minor things, and I do absolutely love this pattern. Let's now talk about the yarn choice. So I used a DK weight 100% cotton yarn from Debbie Bliss, and it is their denim DK cotton range. I can't for the life of me remember the shade name for this colour, but it is a very pale blue. It's really, really pretty. It has some dimension in there as well. The yarn is lovely and soft. It's really lovely to knit with. It's not too splitty, so it's a really enjoyable knitting process. The finished fabric is really, really lovely. It's soft, and you can see it has a lot of drape to it there as well. I've been wearing this t-shirt for 2 summers now, and it is holding up really, really well. It's also held up really well to things like sun cream, sweat, makeup on the neckline. With it being 100% cotton, I can of course just throw this into the washing machine, which always helps with a summer garment. And if I hold this up, hopefully you can see how the fabric has worn. It definitely has a little bit of wear on there. They are, I don't know if you would describe them as pills as such. They're not the same as the pills that you get on a woolen fabric, but there's definitely a little bit of a sign of wear on the fabric, but nothing that bothers me at all. This has certainly got a lot of life left in it. So I want to give this 9 out of 10 for yarn choice, and I'm only deducting that 1 point just because the price point of this yarn is a little higher than some other cotton yarns, and you can get something very, very similar for much cheaper. Let's talk a little bit about the wearability of this t-shirt. This has had a hell of a lot of wear. I particularly like the eyelets for a summer garment because it makes it really nice and light and airy. The cotton, of course, is nice and cooling on the skin. It is also knit at a bit of a looser gauge, which adds to that nice, floaty, airy summer feeling. The only thing that I don't like about this is the length. I do wish that I knit the body a little bit longer, maybe just a centimetre or 2, because this is very, very cropped. So because of that, I am going to give it an 8 out of 10 for wearability. So in total, the tolsta tee gets 25 out of 30. Next up, I have my blouse number 1. This is knit again from the top down. You have the contiguous shoulder shaping here, and you do have that lovely set-in sleeve detail. And I really enjoy that as a design feature. You can see here that all the finishings are just left in plain stockinette, so you get the rolled edges there. And it does have flared sleeves as well. So it's a really, really pretty design. It is very basic, and probably my favourite design feature of this garment is the boat neckline, and it does have short rows in the back neck to raise this up. I know lots of people have mixed opinions about a raw stockinette edge. I'm still undecided, but I do think preferably I would prefer some finishings rather than that rolled stockinette edge. I think this is one of those garments that does look a little more handmade. It's certainly not one of those garments that looks shop bought. So for that reason, I want to give this a 7 out of 10 for design. The yarn I used is the Linendale DK by King Cole. It's a blend of cotton, linen and viscose. Whoops. And you can see it's lovely and drapey. The stitch definition is lovely. It's really even and neat, and it is very soft. It's cooling on the skin for a summer garment. So the finished fabric itself is really lovely. However, because of that viscose content, When I wear this top, it really stretches, and it stretches out to a point that it becomes almost unwearable. So this neckline will grow so much that it's almost falling off my shoulders. Now, lots of you have advised me of a really simple way to fix this, and that would be just to thread an elastic sewing thread through the neckline, which I definitely want to do, but I just haven't got around to yet because I am a master procrastinator. But I will get around to doing that one day, and hopefully that will help me to get a little bit more wear out of this garment, because I do really love the overall look of it. I just don't reach for it because I know it's going to just grow so much throughout the day. So for that reason, I do have to give the yarn choice a 5 out of 10 for this one. And finally, the wearability. I haven't been able to get a lot of wear out of this garment just because of those issues I've had with the growth. However, when it is fresh out of the wash and it hasn't grown, I really enjoy how this fits. I love the colour and the feel of the fabric. It is just that issue with the growth that does put me off. So I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 for wearability. So that means that my blouse number 1 gets a total of 18 out of 30. Here we have my square neck camisole. This is a pattern by Helena Baber, and as the name suggests, it is a square neck camisole. It is knit all over in this, is it 2x2? No, 3x3? It is knit all over in 3x3 rib, and it has these double knit edges to finish it off on the neckline and the armholes, and it does have waist shaping as well. And I really love the detail that you get on the side there with those decreases for the waist shaping. I really don't have anything negative to say about the design of this garment. I really like the square neckline. I think it's really flattering. The straps are bra friendly because they're nice and wide. When a garment does have negative ease like this, I really like when it is ribbed, just because the stretchiness of the ribbing, helps it to stay nice and tight to the body. So I have to give this a 10 out of 10 for design. I used the Katia Baby Merino to knit this. It is a sport weight yarn. It's a 100% merino wool, and it is superwash treated. And I used this steel grey colour. I can't remember the shade name, but it will be on the screen. This is one of those superwash wools that has a certain feel to it that I don't particularly love. It also has that little bit of a shine to it as well, which isn't my favourite. It's wore quite well, but there is some pilling starting to appear in some areas. So for the yarn choice, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. Now, this has had a fair amount of wear, but for some reason I find the colour a little more difficult to pair with things. It's not my favourite type of grey, and as we know, I do love a grey, but this isn't my favourite shade. It also is a very flat, one-dimensional colour, and in a grey I prefer a little bit of heathering or dimension in there. That being said, I do still wear this. I wear it with shorts, with jeans. I like to wear it underneath linen shirts. The fit is absolutely great. It is bra friendly, as I've mentioned before, so it has had a fair amount of wear. So for wearability, I'm also giving this a solid 8 out of 10. That means that the square neck camisole gets 26 out of 30. Moving on now to my ranunculus tee. This is a recent knit. I finished this in July of this year. So the ranunculus is of course a extremely popular pattern in the knitting community. It is knit from the top down. It is a round yoke design, and you have these lace work and textured stitches across the yoke. The finishings are in half twisted rib, and I decided to knit mine with very short t-shirt sleeves. The design also features short rows in the back neck as well as in the front neck, and I knit both sets of short rows for this t-shirt, and I really love how the neckline turned out. Bertie is on the move. So yes, I just find this shaping on the neckline to be really flattering. This pattern also features a short amount of raglan increases after you finish the round yoke, just to give a little bit of a better fit. So I want to give this a 9 out of 10 for design. The yarn that I have used is again the Debbie Bliss DK cotton denim, which I had used for my tolsta tee. So everything that I said about the yarn choice for the tolsta tee also applies to this, so I won't go into all of that again. And again, I am going to give it a 9 out of 10 for yarn choice. I did only finish this a month ago, however, it has had a fair amount of wear. We have had quite a bit of really hot weather in the UK this summer, and this has been perfect. It's a really loose gauge, it's very open and airy, and I've just found myself reaching for it to wear with shorts. It's really nice to wear over little summer dresses. It also helps that this colour fits in really well with my wardrobe. So I want to give this a 9 out of 10 for wearability. That means that the ranunculus tee gets a total of 27 out of 30. Next, I have my sabai top. This is a lovely floaty camisole. It has a really lovely sweeping boat neck, and all of the finishings are in a 1x1 rib. The pattern does also have an option to finish the top just with plain rolled stockinette edges. If you go for the 1x1 rib option, you do also knit some ribbing into the side of the top as well. There are no short rows at all in this top, so it is completely symmetrical front and back. That does mean that the back neck isn't raised up, and I do find that that does affect the fit of this. One design feature that I do really like is the I-cord on the armhole edges, and that is knit as you go, so you don't have to go back and pick up stitches to add that I-cord edge. So I do think that this would be a really great beginner friendly knit because it's very easy to execute. And for design, I want to give this a 7 out of 10. I have used a discontinued yarn to knit this top. It's by Jaeger and it is the Wild Silk yarn. It's a blend of cotton and linen. So you can see you do get quite a nice drape in there. And it has these coloured specks throughout the yarn. So it's on this brown base with white, blue and pink specks. Hopefully that is focusing in. It is quite busy, so I've found it quite hard to style, but the yarn itself is really lovely. I haven't found that this grows at all. It's nice and soft. The linen seems to be getting softer and softer with wear, and it's very cooling and lightweight on the skin for summer. So for the yarn choice, I want to give this 7 out of 10. Now, in terms of wearability, I haven't had a whole lot of wear out of this because I do find that the fit is a little bit off just because there are no short rows in the back. I also find that the colours are very busy for me, so I find this a little harder to style. So again, for wearability, I want to give this a solid 7 out of 10. That means that this sabai top gets a total of 21 out of 30. I've just had my coffee delivered by my wonderful partner. Let's see if we can get a little bit of ASMR. It's really good. Okay, let's move on now and talk about my twist loop top. This is a pattern by Other Loops, and it is this really lovely all over ribbed racer style camisole, which of course has this cable motif running down the front here. The armhole edges are finished with an I-cord. You do have to go in and pick up the stitches to add the I-cord in, but it is well worth it because it gives a really neat result. and the neckline is finished with a 1x1 rib. I really enjoy these racer style tops. I find that neckline to be quite a flattering fit on me. I was hoping to be able to wear a strapless bra with this. However, the armholes are very, very deep. It is something that I was aware of going into this because a lot of people on Ravelry had mentioned that they had modified theirs to have an armhole which was a little less deep. I, however, just decided to follow the pattern, and lo and behold, the armholes are too deep. So I can't wear a bra with this. However, I haven't really found that it's put me off from wearing it. I don't really have much of a bust, so it isn't really an issue for me. And again, as I've mentioned with the square neck camisole, I really like how the stretch from the ribbing helps maintain that negative ease. So it gives a really, really nice fit. I should also mention that the pattern doesn't include waist shaping, but I did add in my own waist shaping just with some simple decreases under the armholes. So taking all of that into consideration, I want to give this a 9 out of 10. And it loses a point just because of that issue with the bra. As I said, I can wear it without one, but in an ideal world, I would have liked to be able to wear a strapless bra underneath this one. I used a 4-ply superwash merino to knit this. It is from Patterns and it is their Dreamtime Fairy Tale range. I think it has been discontinued, but it is just a standard 4-ply weight superwash merino wool. I really wish that I could get my hands on some more of this yarn because it doesn't have that strange superwash feeling that some superwash treated yarns can have. It also doesn't have that shininess to it. It just feels like a really lovely soft wool. But the fact that it is superwash treated makes it ideal for summer because if it does get a little bit sweaty or if it does get sun cream on it, I can really easily just throw this into the washing machine on a standard cycle. I also really love the colour of this yarn. I'm a big lover of blues. This pairs really well with lots of things in my wardrobe and it is just a really lovely, vibrant blue shade. So for all of those reasons, I am giving this a 9 out of 10 for the yarn choice. This is another knit that I finished fairly recently. However, I have gotten a fair amount of wear out of this. I found that I've been wearing this quite a lot to the office and I really like to wear it. I have no idea what is happening on my street today. Honestly, we live on one of the sleepiest little cul-de-sacs. It's so quiet around here and I've had to pause my filming so many times today. We've had chainsaws, we've had engines revving, and now there's somebody driving up and down on a quad bike. So if the lighting and the angles keep changing, I am so sorry, but I do just have to keep pausing whilst these activities are happening outside. So we were talking about the wearability of this top. I have found that I've been wearing this quite a bit into the office and I really like to wear this with a pair of smart navy blue trousers and then just a white shirt over the top. I've also paired it with shorts, with skirts, so I think this is going to be a really versatile piece and I think that I'll be able to take this through into autumn as well as a layering piece. Now, the one thing that I do find with this as a summer top is because the neck is quite high and these cables add a little bit of bulk to the front, it can be quite warm and it can feel a little bit stifling to wear on warmer days. So with all of those things considered, I want to give this a solid 8 out of 10 for wearability. So the twist loop top gets a total of 26 out of 30. My next summer top is my shell tee, and this is a pattern by Wool and Beyond. This is a really pretty design. It has a contiguous shoulder construction here with the set-in sleeves. You then have these horizontal panels of stockinette here with the I-cord tie on the neckline. On the back, you have this ruching, which is really pretty. On the bottom of the body, you finish with a folded stockinette edge, and whoops, that is mirrored here on these stockinette panels with the folded stockinette edge. The sleeves don't have any finishings at all, so you just have the raw stockinette edge for the sleeves. And of course you have I-cord around the neck, which extends into these ties. So the design itself is very, very clever. It has so many little details and different steps. It is really well thought through and it's so cleverly done. However, there are some little bits that just aren't quite right on mine, mainly being in this area. So I've wore this a few times now and you can really see that this is just gaping open, and it was like this immediately after blocking, and I tried to block it out and it is just on this one side. It wants to fall down and I really don't know why. Lots of you have given me ideas on how to fix this, and I think the simplest way is going to be to thread some elastic through there, which is a really quick fix, and I will get around to doing that. This also sits quite low, so it's hard to wear without putting something underneath because it's a little revealing. So I may just go in and stitch this up a little bit higher, and that may help with this situation as well. So I want to give this a solid 9 out of 10 for design. I used a drops yarn to knit this. I used the drops Paris in the shade Lemon. This is an Aran weight yarn and it is 100% cotton. It is really, really lovely and soft. I found it really, really nice to knit with. It's not splitty at all. I am also obsessed with the colour of this garment. This is of course the butter yellow or the lemon yellow that has been the colour of the summer, and I really enjoy it, particularly for summer. A really bright yellow I think always looks really pretty. And the final thing to mention about this yarn is the affordability. Of course, with it being from Drops, it is extremely affordable. So taking all of those things into consideration, I have to give this yarn a 10 out of 10 because I just can't find any negatives. I have been able to wear this a fair few times. I wore it out quite a lot in our recent trip to Cornwall. I've also wore this recently on a cute coffee date with my sister, and I found that it is very wearable. It pairs really well with lots of items in my wardrobe. There is the issue with the gaping, which I've just been trying to ignore until I fix it. I haven't found that the yarn has grown at all, which is great, particularly considering that it is quite a heavy cotton. I was expecting that the weight of it might, pull the garment down and make it grow, but it really hasn't. The only thing that I do find with this is that it tends to fall back off of my shoulders, particularly if I don't tie this up at the front. So one of the ways that I did want to wear this top was actually with the I-cord bow open, because I've seen some photos of the designer wearing it like that. But if I do that, the weight of the top pulls backwards like this. So I don't know if that's user error, and maybe I could have alleviated that by knitting a size down. But I did knit my recommended size and I did hit gauge. So with all of those reasons considered, I want to give this 7 out of 10 for wearability. So the shell tee gets 26 out of 30 in total. I don't know if we can see, but Bertie has flipped over. He is lying on his back with all 4 paws in the air behind me. The final piece that I have to speak about today is my brightest tee, and this is a pattern by Lily Kate France, or Lily Kate Makes. I think a theme is starting to emerge here. We can see again, this has got one of those sweeping boat necklines, which I obviously seem to love. And this has a set-in sleeve as well. This is of course a t-shirt. It has negative ease and it has waist shaping here. and you work in these eyelets down the side of the t-shirt when you're making the decreases. And you also have a little portion of 1x1 rib down the sides here. All of the finishings are just in a simple 1x1 rib. And the design feature that I love the most about this t-shirt is the amount of short row shaping. So this has a lot of short row shaping around the neckline and the sleeves, and it just gives a really, really good fit. Before I knit this pattern, I had heard that Lily Kate France had a reputation for making really well-fitting garments and for being almost a queen of short rows, and she has definitely lived up to that reputation with this pattern. So taking all of that into consideration, I have to give this a 10 out of 10 for design because I can't find any flaws. This t-shirt is knit at a fingering weight gauge, and I used a sock yarn to knit this. I used the Yarn Smith's Superwash Merino sock yarn, and it is a standard blend of superwash, merino and polyamide. This does have that superwash type feeling to the fabric that I keep talking about. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm sure some of you will know exactly what I mean. I think as well, because this is a sock yarn and it does have that bit of polyamide, you can definitely feel that little bit of almost a plasticky feel to this yarn, but it is still lovely and soft. You can definitely feel that merino wool coming through. Again, this does have that slight shine that some superwash merinos can have, which isn't my favourite, but it doesn't put me off using the yarn. One thing that I do love about this yarn is the colour that I chose, and also just the selection of colours that you can get in this yarn. They have a really wide colour range. This t-shirt really hasn't seen a huge amount of wear. It's only been worn a handful of times, but it is already starting to pill. And I am just putting that down to it being so soft, but it isn't holding up the best. So all of those things considered, I am giving this 8 out of 10 for the yarn choice. As I've just mentioned, I haven't actually worn this a huge amount. I do find it a little bit harder to style for some reason. I also find that because this is made out of merino and it does have the sleeves, I get quite hot wearing this in the summer, so I'm much more likely to reach for a t-shirt that is made out of cotton, or if I'm reaching for something that's made out of a merino, I'm much more likely to wear a camisole. So maybe I'll get more wear out of this into the autumn. But I really, really love this. I don't know why I don't reach for it, but I just don't. So taking that into consideration, I am going to give this a 7 out of 10 for wearability. So my brightest tee gets 25 out of 30 in total. So the results are in, and in 8th place we have my blouse number 1 with 18 points out of 30. In 7th place we have the sabai top coming in at 21 points. Tied for 5th and 6th place, we have the tolsta tee and the brightest tee. They both got a total of 25 out of 30. We then have a tie for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. We have the twist loop top, the square neck camisole and the shell tee, all coming in with 26 points out of 30. And number 1, we're not surprised, is my ranunculus tee, and that has a total of 27 out of 30 points. Those rankings really don't shock me. They align really well with actually how much I wear these garments. And in terms of the ranunculus, I think I've already said in previous videos that I think it may be my favourite summer top. So I think we can take this as confirmation that ranunculus is the number 1. If you've made it through to this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. Do let me know if you agree with my ratings and my reviews, and if you have a favourite of your summer knits, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye! Oh my God.